What's up, guys? I wanted to hop on here and just kind of go over like a weekly recap or kind of like a weekly overview that I'm kind of looking at for this week. So let's get into it. So kind of analyzing higher time frame here. We are in an overall downtrend, obviously. We rejected the 200-day moving average, right? And now we're really starting to fall back into the lows that we created. We are under the 100-day moving average and the 50 as well. And something I want you guys to note is that we are approaching a pretty strong level of support and resistance here. So right around 3,900-ish. On NQ, we're a little bit below, but just kind of this whole area right here, around about 12,000, is a big level of support and resistance. You can see here, it's pretty high volume down here as well. And so what I'm expecting this week is I don't think we're going to keep selling off really big like we've been doing. And here's the reason for why I think that. So I think this is a really big level that we're at. You see this really high volume right here at basically a 12,000 or so. So one, it's a pretty big psychological level for NQ. ES is at pretty big level right here. You see the huge volume spike here at around 3,900. So that's another big level as well. And if we analyze volume on the weekly chart, you can see that this volume is getting pretty damn big right here. Okay, huge volume spike, kind of like here and kind of like here. Now, notice something that happened after we had these huge spikes in volume on the previous weeks. Huge spike in volume, we would call that an exhaustion move to the downside and we bounce. Same thing here. We have a big spike in volume to the downside on the red candle and we bounce. So that's kind of what I'm expecting this next week to be. So we have this big spike in volume. Notice that the spread of the previous candle is larger than the current one, but the volume is way less. So if this was all people that were selling the market right here, this huge volume, we'd have a huge red candle that would be larger than the previous one, but we don't. So it makes sense that at this key level of support and resistance on ES and NQ, that there's going to be a bunch of buyers down here. So there's going to be people buying this level, and the spread of the candles tells us that, in fact, that is true. Now we go down to the daily, and we'll see that volume is picking up, volume's getting really high, but notice that our legs of these trends are getting much weaker. So we have a pretty big downtrend here, pull back, big spike in volume down right here. And now we are making lower lows still, but notice that these legs are getting a lot smaller. And now this last leg actually didn't break the lows. So what I teach in my course basically is that these trends are basically like trains moving or like an 18-wheeler moving. You know, they take time to reverse. So before they actually do reverse, the momentum is going to start to slow down, as if you're putting on the brakes of a train or something. It's not going to cause it to halt very quickly, but you're going to see the momentum slow. And so that's what I'm thinking is happening currently is momentum is slowing into this key level right here. And we're going to start forming somewhat of a range trading here. And I'm thinking that's going to happen in the next week or so. I don't really expect this to just keep falling because we also have some catalysts that are coming up in the next 2 weeks that are probably going to cause the move. So what I'm thinking is the momentum slowing here. I'm expecting this to really start ranging. So maybe we break the lows a little bit more, but I think this is going to turn into somewhat of a range type of trading for the next week or so. Same with ES. I think we can definitely come back up and test this area, even right here, this zone right here, 40, possibly back up to 40.70. I would not doubt if we come back and test this key area too, this 40.80 level on ES. So let me show you kind of what I have drawn here. So these are my levels I got. You can screenshot it, look at it, but these are my zones. We do have some pretty easy support and resistance levels on these higher time frames that we have. So 12,250, 12,000, and about 12,500. So I'm expecting a range in between these areas and then up to maybe 12,700 or so. So going to look for more type of range trades this week. Maybe not the biggest momentum move, so we may be taking profits a little sooner. But that's what I'm seeing from doing this top-down analysis here. Let's see if I can take these away again. So yeah, so we're seeing, these big spikes in volume, and normally when we analyze trends and moves, big spikes in volume usually come on really big candles like this, right? So this volume's right here, and this is the candle. This was straight selling all the way down. Now we're getting larger volume on smaller spread candles. So people are starting to buy into these new lows we're making. So let's kind of keep that in mind. And moving forward, we'll kind of play these zones and see what we get. I was going to bring up also the calendar, like the economic calendar. Give me 1 second. There it is. So this is the calendar for the week, going into the week. There's not a ton of data coming out. There is some PMI on Monday or on Tuesday, non-manufacturing PMI, balance of trade, and then we do have Powell speaking at about 20 minutes before the open on Thursday. I'm not 100% sure what this is, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on. That could definitely move the markets. And then we have the EIA crude oil numbers coming out on Thursday as well, and then another Fed speaker Friday. But if we go to next week, we have a lot of data coming out. So Tuesday of next week is the inflation rate year over year. So this is the big number right here. So this is something that is definitely going to move the market, and that's why I think we're going to slow down to the downside and the upside and wait for this number to come out, because normally this moves the market insanely up or down. If it is lower than the previous year over year, I believe we will push back up. And if it's higher, I believe we will dump. That's kind of how it's been going lately. And mostly due to the fact that the market is basically priced in the CPI being peaked out in June. So as long as that stays true, and that's kind of the narrative that the market is taking right now, is that inflation has peaked and it's not going any higher. Anything that goes lower is going to stay in line with that, and that will be good for the market. Anything that is over, if it comes in actually higher, the market I don't believe has that priced in, and I think we will see a huge dump. So keep that in mind. Then some other big data throughout the week: PPI, retail sales doesn't move too much. Consumer sentiment might also do that. So that's the following week. So that's going to be a big one. And then let's see. We do have, after that, we're going to actually have FOMC the week after this. I don't know why I can't bring that up. Can I bring that? Let's see. Can I just look at the next month to 9/31/30? So we are going to have, where are we at? Here we go. So then the following Wednesday, we're going to have FOMC interest rates. So they are going to hike rates, and I think a lot of what or how they hike is going to depend on CPI. So if it's higher, they may go with the 50 basis points because that will tell them that their interest rate hikes are working and they won't need to hike harder than expected. If it is higher, then I would expect 75 basis points. But this is going to be another big mover in the market. So the next 2 weeks are filled with a lot of data coming out that's very important. And that's why I believe this week will be a little bit less volatile than the previous weeks as we wait for those to come out, which makes sense and aligns with the technicals as well. This is usually an area where we started to range a little bit. So I think we're going to be ranging between anywhere from here, 12,700 to 12,000. There's a couple key levels we have here, so you can definitely play these to the upside and downside. And so that's what my group and I are probably going to do. And so, on another note, if you guys want to join the group and trade live with us, I trade live every day. I basically call out what I'm seeing candle by candle on the market. Friday, we ended up catching this move from about 12,300 all the way up to 12,450. So we caught about 150 points on this trade, which was awesome. And then Thursday before that, we caught this entire move bottom to top. So we averaged in down here. Our fill, I know our average fill was 12,043. So that was the average fill. We scaled some here, we scaled some here, and then we scaled some here. So we caught a ton of points the last 2 days. So if you want to come trade live with us, make some money, kind of see how I see the markets and how I think through the trades, I would love to have you. So thanks for watching the video, guys, and let's get it this week.